Throughout history, there have been some epic feuds. The Capulets and the Montagues, the Hatfields and McCoys, the Tailsies and the Pinsies.
I gotta tell you, there's arguments for both sides. Pins first works, and tails first works, but for much different reasons. One thing the Pinsies have on their sides is ease of marking. If you're doing fine pins, and you cut the tails first, transferring that to the other board can be pretty hard because you gotta put your pencil or your marking knife in a tight spot. Pins first gives you a lot more room when it comes time to transfer those marks. Another advantage of doing the pins first is then you can cut the tails on the bandsaw. Tails can be cut easily on the bandsaw without using any special jig. Bandsaw cut tails can be really fast because you can nibble out most of the waste with the blade and then use a chisel just for the finest cleanup. It can really speed up your dovetails. Of course, that's not really a traditional way to do it. Tailsies have an argument too, but it's based on muscle memory. When you're cutting dovetails by hand, you have to keep the saw precisely aligned. When you're cutting the pins, you merely have to worry about keeping that blade perpendicular to the workpiece. As long as you don't tip it to the right or to the left, you're golden. But cutting the tails requires a compound angle, which is much more difficult to maintain. So, if you mess up the tails, it's not a problem as long as you cut the tails first. Any error will be compensated for when you mark it on the second board and match that cut. So the tailsies say, cut the much more difficult tails first, and then it'll be easier to line up the pins second.